Thanks to EV for sending me this unit to review. This is version 2 of the EV extendable charging cable arm and organizer. If you have your EV charging in the garage, it's pretty common to have the charging cable on the ground. This can be a trip issue, and this product is a solution to that problem. Opening the box, we see the EV arm taking up most of the interior. Everything is covered in bubble wrap to protect during shipping. This product is available in black or white, so choose the color you prefer. I chose white for my garage since it has a white and gray theme. On the far end, I'll open this bag and inside is the wall bracket. The two main parts of the bracket and the arm are made of steel and have a white enamel paint similar to that of large appliances. Here is the arm itself. The instructions warn not to cut the zip tie that is holding the arm in place until it's installed for safety reasons. There is a large hinge on the mount side and another where the two arm sections meet. This provides the pivot so that you can move the arm to your specific location. Either you have a charge port a few feet away from the wall or over 6.5 feet or more away. Lastly, there is a cardboard box with the installation hardware and instructions. This is a very detailed guide printed in color that covers installation and other topics. Make sure you read it thoroughly before installing. Also in the box are several black zip ties. More on that in a little bit. There is a plastic bag that has 3 long wood screws, 2 black lock screws, and a magnetic bubble level. Here is a close-up of the wall bracket. It has a notch on the top where the arm mount will fit into. The flat side faces the wall. Place the bubble level on the horizontal section. Right here will do. It's a handy way to make sure that the bracket is level on the wall when installing. There are several holes on the bracket. The 3 in the center are used for mounting on the wall and other locations. There are 2 small screws that lock the arm to the bracket. They get installed on the bottom of the mount right here. These black screws need to be installed with a hex key or Allen wrench. Here's my set I happen to have. The correct size is 1/8 of an inch, and the wrench is shown right here. I'm going to flip the bracket over to measure the 3 openings. Place this decoder over the hole, and I find that it is 1/4 of an inch wide. This will be needed for my alternate installation method on Slatwall. Here is the EV arm. Note that there are 3 sets of openings on each arm section. A total of 6 zip ties are needed to put in these openings to secure the charging cable. They install like this. You slide it through both of the holes, and then the cord goes underneath and the zip tie gets tightened. If you want to remove the charging cord, you need to cut the zip tie, which creates some waste. I have another way to attach the cable using reusable zip ties. I ordered these black and white zip ties that have a button that releases the strap and it can be reused. Just like the other zip tie, insert it into one of the openings and then out the other. Insert one end into the clasp and now it's tight. Just press the tab near the clasp and it loosens up and pulls out. Here's an example with the charging cord. And once again, an extreme close-up with the white version of this zip tie. Since I was curious, I also purchased another method of fastening. These are Velcro ties, and they also come in black and white colors. I cut them in half lengthwise so that they would fit into the holes in the arm. These work just like using the zip ties, inserting them into the holes and then wrapping around the cable. I tested these and they worked well too. I was surprised how strong they hold together. You can trim them to length so that there's not much of an overlap. Now for the tools needed for this project. First, we have a measuring tape to determine the height of the bracket. If you are using drywall, a stud finder will detect the studs for where you should place the screws. A pencil to mark the drill holes on the drywall, and a power drill for making pilot holes into the studs. A 13/64 of an inch drill bit seemed to work best for me. Then a PH3 Phillips head bit for installing the wood screws. This can be used on the power drill as well as a screwdriver. And then the 1/8 Allen wrench that I showed earlier. And finally, scissors to trim the zip ties to length when installed. Next up is installation. Please use the timestamps in the video description for different setups for this product. Most people will probably have drywall in their garage, but if you have bare studs, you can skip to the next step. Once you determine the height for the bracket, which is usually somewhere between 6 to 7 feet, use the stud finder to determine the edge of the stud. 2x4 studs are about 1.5 inches wide. First, I do the right side, mark it, and then I find the left side and I mark that too. The screw will go between these two marks. Place the bracket between the marks and center it. Use the pencil and fill in the hole on the top. Making sure the bracket is level with the bubble level, mark the second and third holes. Using the power drill, drill 3 pilot holes using these 3 circles. Again, place the bracket over the holes and start with the top hole. Drill the screw in most of the way, but allow some movement to adjust based on the bubble level. When level, drill the remaining 2 screws in place. Go back and use a screwdriver for the final few turns so the screw doesn't get stripped. The bracket will now be securely fastened to the wall. For the second step, take the EV hover arm and place it over the bracket. Slide it on at an angle seems to work best. Shimmy the arm's mount over the bracket's lip so that it will fit into the opening. You may need to wiggle it back and forth until it is fully seated. Then, push the arm mount's lower section over the bracket all the way. Take the 2 small black screws and use the hex key to install them into the openings on the bottom. Once you get them screwed in, the arm mount should be fully secured to the bracket on the wall. At this point, you can cut the zip tie that is holding the 2 arm sections together. Here's a close-up view of the final drywall installation. Note, when looking at the top, you can see that the lip of the bracket is through the slot in the arm mount. For step 3, attaching the charging cable is next, but before that, I will show you my alternate installation on Slatwall. I put a PVC slat wall system in my garage when it was built a couple years ago. I have lots of mounts and brackets for storage. One thing that I have is a universal bracket commonly used for LCD TVs. It supports up to 75 pounds, definitely good enough to cover the 50-pound requirement for this installation. As shown by the measuring tape, I plan to mount the bracket about 7.5 feet or 2.3 meters above the ground. More about location in a little bit. I'll go over the steps for this method. The white bracket will be positioned over the slat wall mount like this. I have the bottom of each lined up for best coverage. Place blue painter's tape over the center of the slat wall mount. Using measuring tape, find the center vertical line and draw it in with pencil. Place the EV hover wall bracket over the mount so that the holes line up with the pencil line. Mark the 3 holes with pencil. Then, using increasingly larger drill bits, I drill each of the 3 holes until a 1/4 inch bolt will fit into the opening. As you can see here, it's ready for the next step. Clean up the area and remove the painter's tape. I used a 3/8 inch long 1/4 inch machine screw with locking washers and nuts. I placed the painter's tape back on again so the screws don't fall off when I turn it over. On the back, I put the locking washer and then the nut on top for each of the 3 screws. Hand thread all of them and then turn it over again. Use a wrench to hold the nut in place and then the screwdriver to fasten. Do it a few more times with the wrench to lock all 3 machine screws in place. Turning it over, you can see them all firmly attached. Now it's ready for the slat wall. Location for the EV hover is critical for your particular setup. For example, where is the charge port on your car? Which direction do you usually park your car? You may want to mount the EV hover near where the center of the car is located if you want to reach both sides in case you park front or back in. If you only park in one way, just mount the EV hover near the charge port. For example, I back my car into the garage and charge from the left rear charge port location, so it makes sense to place the EV hover so that it's directly across the charging area. And since the arm is long and bendable, you do have some leeway in placement. My next EV will have a charge port on the front left side. Luckily, as I'll show later, my garage can support both locations without modification. If you have an EV with the charge port on the left front fender, which is one of the most popular locations, this will also work for this situation too. The EV hover will need to be fully extended to reach across the car for that charge port position. So I will place the EV hover right over the sign to the left of the window. I put it so that it's about 7.5 feet high enough so that it's not in the way, but still reachable for my height. Attached to wall bracket slat wall mount combination, there are 2 thumb screws on the bottom that keep it in place. The entire top of the mount is a long hook that securely attaches to the slat wall. For the next step, connect the arm to the bracket. Angle the arm so that the long slot will go over the bracket's lip. Like in the drywall installation, you may have to rock it back and forth to fully seat. When it's in all the way, press the lower front of the arm mount into the bracket underneath. Then take the 2 black screws and use the Allen wrench to secure them into the mount. Here's a close-up look at the final installation. You can remove the zip tie so that the arm can freely move. Testing it out, I swing the arm from the mount's hinge. Then I move the end that pivots on the hinge between the 2 arm sections. Overall, this is about 6.5 feet long. Here's a view of it over the back of the car. I'm going to use my Gen 2 mobile connector first to see how the cable works with the EV hover. Step 3. Install the cable straps. I insert the black reusable zip ties into the set of 6 openings on both arm sections. I place the charge handle on the hook at the end of the arm. Then, taking the charge cord, go to the last zip tie, place it under the arm, and connect the zip tie. Leave it loose for adjustment. Do this for the other 5 zip ties. And here's a close-up view of the 6 zip ties with the cord in between. Now I can move the arm over to the car and adjust the length that is needed to attach to the car's charge port. You need to give enough slack so that it has room and doesn't pull on the port. I'll move the arm on the hinges to show you the range of motion for exact placement and the ability to keep the cable out of the way. Once you're happy with the charge cable positioning, you can tighten the zip ties and then trim the excess length with scissors. The two hooks at the end of the arm can be adjusted to fit the particular charging handle that you're using. You can push it closer or spread it apart. You can then hang the handle off of the side, wedge it between the prongs, or place it on top. It's up to you. The Tesla charging handle is fairly narrow, so I have to push the hooks together. If you have a J1772 handle, it's much wider and you will need to spread it out. I'll show that later. So when you're done charging, you move the arm out of the way, against the wall. You can fold it or leave it extended depending on your situation. And this is a close-up of the EV hover folded against the wall. The Tesla mobile connector has a fairly thin cable. Let's see how a thicker cable works. This is a cable for my J1772 40 amp EVSE that's installed on the second NEMA 240 volt outlet on the other side of the garage. Basically, do the same thing as I did before. Install the cable inside the 6 zip ties loosely, and then adjust the length that it hangs for the charge port. For this test, I used the black Velcro straps instead of the zip ties. This is a close-up view of the cable attached to the arm. It's fairly thick and heavy, and you need to leave a little extra near the middle hinge, as you can see here. Now for the test. Extend the arm and plug in the cable. When done charging, disconnect the plug and swing the arm back over to the wall. Then place the charge handle on the hooks at the end. There's no problem with the thicker cable. By the way, I have the J1772 to Tesla adapter on this charge handle, so it works with my car. As I mentioned before, you can adjust the width of the hooks. Here you can see that it's a fairly wide and heavy handle. One option is to hang it over the side, and another is to hang it off the end. The Velcro tie straps work very well, and they are surprisingly strong. Here's a close-up of them doing their job. The next test is with the thickest cable I have, the Tesla extension cord. The first time I saw the EV Hover website, they showed a sample installation using a white cord wrap that looked pretty slick. I got two 10-foot sections of this cover from Amazon. It fits over the cord, and due to the curve, wraps around itself to seal. I put this along the entire length of the cable. This is simply a cosmetic thing, so totally not necessary for the use of the EV Hover. This time I will use the white reusable zip ties with the white cord wrap for a mostly all-white installation. Attach the zip ties, adjust the length, tighten them down and trim, and now it's done. And here's what it looks like while charging the car. When charging is complete, remove the handle and place it on the hook and swing it against the wall for storage. Just like the other cords, there's no problem with the heavier and thicker cable that's used in this setup. I think the white version with the white cord wrap and straps looks great with my garage color scheme. Look, no cords on the floor. Now for the other location. Looking at the garage floor plan, if you park your car front in with the charge port on the left rear of the car, this will require a different placement of the EV Hover. Since my Slatwall system allows ease of location, I can now take it down from the original position and place it to just right of the door. Just give me a minute to do that. Now in the new spot, I just grab the arm and extend it as far as it will go across the back of the car. Then open the charge port and plug it in. The cord is suspended up and out of the way and not touching the car. Here I will walk around the car without having to watch out for cords. And now I'm back where I started. I'm done charging, unplug the handle, and then fold the arm and swing it against the wall. Hang up the charge handle on the hooks and I'm done. Note that it's out of the way of the door too. If you park an EV back in with the charge port on the left front of the car, this location will also work, and this is how it would look. Take the arm and move it towards the car, retrieve the charge handle and plug it in. After charging, unplug and return it to the wall. Now, that about covers most of the charging port locations and ways of solving it with the EV Hover in a garage. EVHover.com also carries wall brackets to hold the EVSE main section. This is good since it can relieve stress on the plug if it hangs from an outlet. This can be mounted near the arm where convenient with an outlet nearby. EV Hover does not require routine maintenance, however, periodic inspection should be conducted to ensure that all parts remain in good working order and no damage exists. This product contains a 1-year warranty. Contact help@evhover.com with your proof of purchase for help with warranty issues. So in conclusion, EV Hover is a solution for your charging cable organization. No more tripping on cords or having them get dirty on the ground. It's designed and made in the USA, easy to install, lightweight, discreet design that can be folded against the wall when not in use. It's adjustable, and the hinges seem well done and the arm swings smoothly. The EV Hover is available in black or white versions to fit the look that you're going for. During the video, I tested the lightweight Tesla mobile connector all the way to the heavy-duty Tesla extension cable, and the arm holds it with no issues. Thicker cables do make it a little harder to fold the arm in half for storage along the wall, so just give it enough slack so it can work fine. There is some room for improvement. I would suggest Velcro straps or releasable zip ties instead of the normal disposable zip ties because they can be easily removed if necessary. The 6.5-foot length of the arm worked well for me, but if you park far from the wall, a longer reach would be better. The first-gen version had a more usable length. It would be nice to see a longer version again. And next, the finish on the white paint wasn't perfect. There were a couple areas, like around the screw hole, that were chipped, but most of it was in excellent condition and worked fine for me. Overall, I'm impressed and will be using this setup in my garage permanently. If you're interested in the EV Hover charging cord arm and the accessory EVSE mount, see the links in the video description. Use code RANGER for $25 off your purchase. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.